any struggle getting the first project after your BArch, or you got it easily?
The first struggle for me really didn't happen.
You are founder principal of Kia Studio, which is in India and the UAE also.
I have always grown up in an environment of design. I was born into one. I was very clear. I've always been a workaholic.
Impatience,
Yes.
right? They are just running from the problems. So how will you guide them that how to choose the office to do the practice first? In 40 years, the change you saw in architecture, your era and the new generation, is there any difference in the mindset also, or is it the same?
There's a tremendous change in mindset.
People who are doing practice, they are saying you are not learning anything in the academia thing.
You need to understand, you need to learn, you need to have your initial years of education.
And did you find any struggle dealing with the clients or at the side dealing with the contractors?
That some clients did have problems when I reached out to them for my professional fees.
Modern architecture or traditional architecture?
Depends on the project.
Hand sketching or AI tools?
First hand sketch, then into the AI.
What about the master's degree?
See, education is always useful.
Yeah.
You never stop learning. We are learning till date,
Hi, this is Avitesh and I'm here with the episode 3. Today we have with us architect Sabina Khanna, who got gold medal in her academics and completed her BArch in 1987. And she is associated with so many associations such as IIA, Triple ID, Wiki, PSDCCI, and also leading so many associations. She is the national head of the Wiki right now. And apart this, now she is curating events and competitions and mentoring and guiding this young generation. So I'm so happy with her today and going to ask so many questions what young generation is going to ask to the architects that, such as how to join offices, how to give interviews. So welcome, ma'am. I'm so happy to have you here. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thank you so much, Avitesh, for that very grandiose introduction.
Very
Happy to be here.
So, as I started and as I learned your CV, you got gold medal and so many awards in your academia. So, was there any problem, or I would say any struggle getting the first project after your BArch, or you got it easily?
Well, okay, the gold medal was a very, very long time ago. That feels very ancient now. But also, getting my first project right after my graduation, I actually joined the PGI in Chandigarh, and where I worked before my marriage. And after my marriage, Rajiv was already a practicing architect. He'd already been established for the last 7 years. And he was working, doing all large scale projects from the very start, which was a blessing. And so the first struggle for me really didn't happen. It did for Rajiv, because I know for sure. And so when I married him, I just headlong on day 2 of my marriage, I was in the studio and working with him.
Okay. So, you are founder principal of Kia Studio, which is in India and the UAE also.
Yes.
So, when you started the studio, what was the first inspiration in your head that I have to work in a practice, not under some other person? I should start my own work. So, what was the inspiration you had that time?
I have always grown up in an environment of design. I was born into one. And all my years of growing up, that is what was subtly around me, and we just got ingrained with it. And I was very clear. I've always been a workaholic. I am till date. And I was very sure that I always want to work, keep doing my own thing. And chance so happened that when, the proposal for marriage came to Rajiv, he was already a working architect. So I made sure one thing, that I am going to work, which was very open. And that is what I've been doing ever since. There was really nothing that I will not work under anyone or whatever. But since I married him, so we just became co founders of the company and have ever since been working together.
So, okay, it's been almost 40 years. And you are in architecture, you are practicing it. So, how is your experience from that time to here? How was your journey? How you started? So, I would like to know that in 40 years, the change you saw in architecture?
Well, architecture has undergone tremendous changes. During our times were different when we started, when we set out. Most importantly, technologies have changed, materials have changed, which gives our thinking different approach and a different vision now. But at that time, we were in studios on drafting boards, with hand sketching and drafting with pencils, and then came the Rapidos and other things. And I remember when we picked up the first computer, it was like a VIP in the office. So we had a glass cabin for the computer and an AC just to get the system going and not heat up. And now we have like, a laptop at every desk, and it's on the go. It's now designed on the go. Wherever you travel, you just take that with you. So in terms of the studio setups, things have changed. In terms of having your number of people in the studios, again have changed. So also when you set out, you had to reach out for work, but kindly enough, one work led to the other, and we've had I would say, the good fortune of working with clients for their repeated projects. Because as a practice, we always want to over deliver and over satisfy our clients. So we've always gotten repeat works for them. So the initial struggles then gradually, kept giving way to smoother journeys.
Yeah.
And so that is how it has been. Yes. And also the profile of the works over 40 years keeps changing. So you've done pretty much every discipline of the field is what you've touched. There was a segment when you were just doing hospitality, and then into luxury interiors, and then high rise residential communities and master plannings. So the profile of work kept changing.
So, Rajiv sir was always there with you, right? And did you find any struggle dealing with the clients or at the side dealing with the contractors, being a woman, or it was good? It was just being an architect, no gender biasation there. So, what was there?
See, like I said, I grew up in an environment which was very liberated.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, when married to Rajiv, I again set out in the studio on day one. There never was a real problem from my end. In fact, clients would, from the very start, want to discuss the designs with me. They were very clear. Studio the drawings have to be discussed with Sabina. But I'll be honest and put it on record that some clients did have problems when I reached out to them for my professional fees.
Mm-hmm.
That aspect they wanted to discuss with Rajiv. And that is a few things I had to set right with certain clients, that if you want the drawings from me, then why not discuss the finances? So that was again sorted out very early on. But yes, that was one aspect. Drawings mein kabhi koi dikkat nahi hua. On site, there never was a problem. But financial matters, clients did not want to discuss with me initially.
Okay, so now I'm talking about the mindset of an architect, the general term. So, being a student or the young generation of the architects now, because you have your son also as an architect. So, how they are going to observe space as an architect, and is there any difference because technology is different, right?
Absolutely.
And client demand is totally different nowadays. Also, materials are new in the market. So, in your era and the new generation, is there any difference in the mindset also? Or is it the same?
Oh, there's a tremendous change in mindset. I think we thought a little more conservatively, a little more on the safe side. The young generation today wants to think completely out of the box. They can visualize and dream big and make it happen because of the materials and technology available today. And so definitely they bring a very, very fresh perspective, to the entire thinking process and to the studio. While architecture continues to remain based on the same values, of creativity that you're doing, but definitely there's a revolutionary change now, and it's interesting because that brings a certain newness to the studio, that just keeps you going. They are more pepped up. They seem to have more than 24 hours a day, even when they're delivering in the studio. So that is there is a remark change with the next gen in the field now.
Okay. So whenever I read any architect's journey or their work, So actually, I see how they are going to see the world from their window. So for you, what is actually inspiration? Are you going with the same inspiration for all the projects, or are you getting different inspirations or concepts? I would say, because concept is a very initial thing, but very powerful thing during the project, after the project, what you are going to give to your client. So what is your conceptual ideas for every project, and how you are getting the inspiration for these concepts?
See, firstly, each project is different.
Yeah.
So hence the concepts for each project is different.
Mhm.
They would still be rooted in the same values of ensuring that there is context to every project.
Mhm.
There is sustainability in terms of climate, where the project is located. And thirdly is community, or the people to whom the project has to be done for and who will cater to, you know. So those initial values remain the same as a concept to
Mm.
every project. But each project is approached differently in terms of its siting, in terms of its demand, in terms of its usage. And so those principles tend to become different, you know. And that is where the creativity happens, because each project is tackled differently.
Mhm.
And as far as inspiration that you mentioned, inspiration, I think, to an architect comes from anything and everything around us. Whatever we see, with whomever we meet, um, whatever materials, textures we feel, we touch, whatever we dream, we imagine. So inspiration for us comes from anything and everything. It could be an early morning spark, it could be a late night thing, it could be wherever and whenever, you know, or it may not come for days at end. So, because it's a creative process.
And if I ask about the sketching, digital thinking, because nowadays we have AI also as our assistant, right?
Yes,
For the new
absolutely.
generation, everybody is
Yes,
using AI.
yes.
So, what is your point of view on sketching, digital thinking with AI?
See, I will say, much as we have adapted
Mhm.
to the newer systems, which we have to, you know, we have to keep evolving and keep adapting. I still come from that little slight old school of thought
Mhm.
where I do need to put my pencil to paper. So for me, that is important. So the initial sketching, then taking into AI, definitely that is the way forward. Because the first thought that comes to mind has to be put down by, by your hand sketching. And then it's just taken to AI.
Okay, so now it's about architecture across generations, because
Yeah.
you have. So I would like to ask you, uh, on your big festival, do you talk about architecture or just a simple conversations? Because they are architects sitting and
Yes.
they are eating together. So
Yes.
are they talking about the architecture or some other things?
Let me tell you, by default, we've never drawn lines between personal life or professional life, because we are all architects.
Yeah.
So we don't even realize that our talks are always professional,
Mhm.
because that comes naturally to us since we understand each other's language and we are all thinking the same things.
Yeah.
So everybody at the table is not just at breakfast, at every meal literally is just talking about work, which we don't feel as work,
Mhm.
because that's what comes to us naturally, you know. So we that see that bit of design in everything that we talk. So I would really call it talking about architecture or what, but that is the language we understand.
Yeah. So when your son was doing architecture, you were an architect and as a mother also.
Yes.
So what was your observation and the guidance to your son? Were you actually doing the critical analysis of his work every time, or you just left him कि तुम करो अपना, we'll see later क्या कर रहे हो? So what was your thing that time?
So, being an architect mother came to me even before my son joined architecture, because my daughter is also an
Yeah.
architect. So, they've both done architecture from the same college.
Yeah.
In both the cases, also because I am more out there in the profession beyond
Mm.
my studio,
Mm.
being involved as a curator, mentor, juror for various initiatives and organizations and, areas. So I know people around.
Mhm.
So when both my kids joined architecture, I went for the orientation. And after that, I was told not to come to college for the next 5 years, because you seem to know all our teachers
Yeah.
and everybody who comes there, and we don't want you there. Please come on the graduation. So officially, I was not there. I was not in the college because I didn't want to make it embarrassing or anything for them as they felt it. But definitely at home, we were always open to talking,
Mhm.
encouraging them, guiding them
Mm.
at every level, but completely open to what their choices are and how they want to take things forward.
So, what do you see? Because you handled your studio for a long time, and now your young generation is going to handle. So, what do you see the difference between this handling thing, situation with the clients and yourself also?
Yeah, so that's what I said. It is actually very interesting
Mhm.
seeing the new wave in,
Mm.
the new dynamism, the new energy that the next gen brings to the studio. Their very thoughts and ideas are different.
Mhm.
Um, we bring in probably the experience,
Mm.
and they bring in that new thought.
Mhm.
So for every, I mean, every day in the studio is quite interesting. We have our share of difference of opinions. I won't even call them arguments, but difference of opinions, because every thinking brain, wherever you have two architects, you will have that.
Yeah.
And here, when, and especially now when it's coming from the next gen,
Mhm.
so we always do wait out, give it time to work on it, of where these ideas are coming from.
Mhm.
But I think it's a very, very interesting phase, having that fresh energy and fresh dynamism in the studio.
Okay. So, being a professor for myself, it will come to you also. So, every time students are in third year, fourth year, they are going for the internship, right?
Yes.
So, they are really confused कि हमें छोटे studios में जाना चाहिए, बड़े में जाना चाहिए. So, how will you guide them, being in practitioner, कि उन्हें जाके काम कैसे सीखना चाहिए? Because nowadays they don't have patience,
Yes.
right? Even in 6 months, they are changing the studios. They are
Yes.
not liking the work environment, and this generation is really like very, very, what I call the right word is impatience,
Yes.
right? They are just running from the problems. So, how will you guide them that how to choose the office to do the practice first?
So, as a practice, we have always encouraged to take on board interns
Mhm.
every term.
Yeah.
We make sure that we have a sizable number of interns, because we've always felt that they need to be brought into the studio culture, and so that they get a feel of what actual working is like. They've been too cocooned in the college environment with a curriculum. So, honestly, I think, while I would agree to a certain extent that this generation is impatient, they want instant results,
Yeah.
instant gratification.
Mhm.
That is what they want.
Mm.
But most of the lot
Mm.
is also sorted. They know what they want,
Mm.
what they want to take on forward.
Yeah.
So it is an individual's choice.
Mhm.
But I always tell the interns that this is a period of learning and not earning.
Mhm.
Lots of them come to us, but I know so and so is getting that much of a stipend for this, ma'am, and you're giving us less. So I tell them, I said, this is a period of learning and not earning.
Mhm.
And that learning happens when it is in a smaller studio, I feel,
Mhm.
because you have more interaction with your seniors who are there, or with your, with the management, with your bosses,
Okay.
from where the experience is to filter down,
Mhm.
and sometimes interns are lost in very large setups very early on. You may want to work or feel nice when working in a large setup, maybe once you've graduated.
Mhm.
But I feel working in a smaller studio with good projects, that is important. They have to have good work as well, so that they are actually learning
Mhm.
work during the time of their internship. That becomes very important. And also, we as a studio make it a point, when we have interns, we
Mhm.
give them the entire flavor of the profession.
Mhm.
We don't just put them on. Initially होता था मैम सिर्फ रबड़ मार के ड्राइंग इरेज करने को दे दिया.
Yeah.
So now we make sure we even involve them in serious design thinking work.
Mhm.
There's a project, come on, create a concept.
Yeah.
And because it's always meant to be a collective effort in the studio. So create a concept, do detailing, we take them on sites, we give them the site awareness as well, because within that period, they must get to know all aspects of the profession. So that is very important.
So, as per the rules of COA, we have just one time this internship. Sometimes I think there should be twice in the academia, no? In 5 years, that should be twice. Because after internship, their thought process is something else.
Yes.
Because they know the reality of world. So, whenever they are coming to this internship, because that is important for their marking thing, so they are going for it. But if they will go previously in the second year, third year, so there will be any change according to you, or they will be the same thing?
I think having it in second year or third year is too early for them because they don't know much about the profession. They haven't learned much about it, you know. There is so much that you need to learn in the curriculum in the college
Yeah.
about the profession before you're able to go to a studio. Otherwise, you're too raw. You don't even know what you have to draw, what you have to think, what you have to deliver. So, coming from the officer's perspective, then we invest a lot of time and effort and training into the intern, you know.
Yeah.
So, if they go into raw, then that's not going to serve the purpose. So, ideally, what the system used to be in fourth year when you're going for your internship, after completing 3 years of education, I think is what works best.
So there is one more thing that everybody is talking about, the bridging a gap between academia and the practice, right? Somehow I guide my students and saying that first you need to learn the language, make the sentence, and then for the practice, how to communicate, you are going to the practice, right?
Yeah.
So, but they are not understanding this because people who are doing practice, they are saying you are not learning anything in the academia thing. So, is this true? Or what is your point of view on that? Because that is also important to understand the language of architecture first, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I said.
Yeah.
You need to understand, you need to learn, you need to have your initial years of education. Maybe somewhere there, the curriculum needs to be also looked
Yeah.
at, you know, that needs to be changed.
Yes.
That needs to make them ready for the offices today.
Mhm.
That has evolved as well. So whereas I don't know now because I don't know about the academia, but if those curriculums need also an overhauling, I think they've just continued on ever since we've had the same subjects and the same things. So those probably need to be changed, need
Yeah.
to be taught. Maybe then the student in fourth year is more uh, aware and more set for the is more prepared, as I can say, for the internship.
Yeah.
So that also needs to be looked at. It's we can't just blame the student who's coming there. It's also the curriculum that needs to
Yeah.
be.
In continuation with this internship thing also, some students ask me that either they can go for the foreign firms or the Indian one. So will there be any difference or just the same thing with the software? Because in international studios, whenever they are going to UAE or the UK, so they are asking for the new and the latest softwares, yes. But in India, they are working with the AutoCAD and the
Yeah.
previous thing. So what do you think? What will be the better, international or national?
See, there's really no direct answer to that as to
Uh-huh.
what will be better. But I think knowing as many softwares in today's age is definitely good and definitely beneficial. And that is where I meant when I said curriculum needs an overhauling. Those need to start off in college very early on. Why not? Teach the students all of those softwares that makes him internationally prepared. Today, the world is a global village. I could have graduated from here and I can get an offer from across the world.
Yeah.
But has my college prepared me to go accept that offer? That is where the role of college in the curriculum is very important. Even in my time, when we went for our internships, I had batchmates who had traveled globally for internships. So it's not anything new. But I feel colleges need to really look into this and to teach them all the softwares, and all students should be prepared to travel the world and be anywhere for anything. They don't, or otherwise give them the time and tell them to learn those kind of softwares, which is a very individual thing that people would want to see. Today kids want to dream big, and why not?
Yeah. And what about the master's degree? Do you really think it is necessary for the practice, or it is okay, just a degree you are getting, or you are getting some experience also with this?
See, education is always useful.
Yeah.
You never stop learning. We are learning till date. A master's degree would be a more regulated form of study, a structured form of of learning. So that is entirely an individual's choice. In terms of practice, whether somebody needs to really have a master's degree, um, I may say maybe, maybe not, because there are so many other means of learning today. You're learning every day, and see, you're just taking in that knowledge. So probably if somebody wants to get into the chance of getting into academia, and that is when you want to have your degrees in place. But entirely a personal opinion and choice, because learning and knowledge is always, always handy.
Okay, there is one more concern by the students for this profession only. They say that architects are not getting that respect what society should give them. For example, doctors are getting the respect, right? They know what to do, what not to do. And everybody knows who is the doctor, what they are doing, but not the architects, because after the project completion, nobody is going to meet directly the architect, right? But whenever a person is not good, I mean, if he or she is sick, they are going to contact the doctor directly, right? So they have the respect to the doctor more than the architects. Even architects are building the space for them where they can feel safe, happy, everything is there. So how you are going to justify this thing? Because I'm still thinking about it, how to do it. Yeah.
See, where doctors are concerned, your life is in their hands.
Yeah.
You will definitely do whatever you need to for the doctors,
Mhm.
and just and you will give them that desired respect. More than respect, it's the faith. It's the faith in the doctor that you
Mhm.
have to have. Now, as far as architects are concerned, I will say it's us as a fraternity that has to elevate the level
Mhm.
of respect
Mhm.
coming from your immediate client
Mhm.
and from the people around you. There are architects who are looked up to. That is why they are the masters,
Mhm.
because the world knows about them. They've done the projects. They are valued. They are held in high esteem.
Mhm.
So if each one of us in the fraternity thinks that that is how we must, and that is where we want to place our practice
Mhm.
and ourselves, there's definitely that we can earn that kind of respect. We are too large a population, we are too diverse a population. So architecture is fragmented at various levels. But the architect who is doing good work, be of any gender, you can definitely command a respect, I feel.
So we discussed about the whole scenario about the architecture, and we see the generations of the working. So how do you see after 20 years this profession, how we are going there? I mean, yes, there is a need to change in academic exercise, because people are learning the same thing what you learn,
Absolutely.
right? But how do you see, because now we have technology, AI also, and there are so many things, because people can do online courses also to learn this, right? Not the BR, because we have some rules for the council, but
Right.
if they want to learn anything new, they can do this thing online. पहले ये सब नहीं था, आपके time में नहीं था, because net
बिल्कुल.
was not there, but now
True.
people can do. So how do you see this profession after 20 years?
Well, I see it rapidly growing by leaps and bounds.
Mhm.
Even from our times till now, whatever we had not even thought of or imagined that the profession could bring in is what is already there. Ours is a generation that started from sketching in pencils on drawing boards and have now come to your tablets and laptops. And we have, evolved as a generation. We are learning all kinds of softwares and techniques and technologies and materials and making ourselves aware. So 20 years from now, this whole thing is again going to go in a very fast speed mode. I feel, and AI is going to play big. And the generation at that time has to realize that AI is a tool that they should use alongside them. Whereas lots of people, lots of youngsters are replacing it with their own efforts, which should not happen. AI, if you just elaborate, is definitely an artificial intelligence. The inherent intelligence remains within us, in our brains, which this generation must understand and master those AI tools for your benefit. And it's going to be a fast forward for the next 20 years.
And if I'm talking about your journey, and if I'll ask you if you will go back into the time and you want to give some advice to yourself, like 25 years or 30 years ago, what will be that advice to yourself only?
I think I've had a brilliant, interesting journey
Yeah.
in terms of my works,
Mhm.
in terms of the satisfaction level, in terms of the clients that we made who are now friends. And in terms of, we also very early on started thinking out of the box and trying to do lots of works. Maybe a few of my projects I would have thought, Sabina, do it differently. Take in wild ideas. And but at that time were limiting factors of technology and materials. But I think I've had a great journey, and probably 25 years, if I was to guide myself, would still be the happy me.
Okay. So, what should be the mindset of young architect you would like to advise them so that they can cultivate to survive in the coming time and with the technology and everything what they have? So, what will be your advice to the young generation?
Like I said, young generation, please, please, um, you know, uh, uh, s- I'd say is study as many softwares, learn as many as you can, use AI as your assistant. Don't restrict to the very initial AI tools. Delve deep. Make the most of the times that you have. We are in very, very interesting and revolutionary times currently because of the materials that are available, because of the technologies that are available. The young gen should definitely think big, dream big, create big, because anything and everything is possible today. All of their dreams can be converted into reality, and but just consciously make sure that you leave, as an architect we leave mark on the surface of this earth. So make sure whatever you design and you make it happen, it is something that is, worth it.
So now, as you said, you are satisfied with your career and the journey, yeah, and you are giving time to the societies and the professional bodies. Yeah? So, is this important to give society back, and how one can give it, because you are leading such organizations also, and you are associated with many of them. So, how this is going to impact, because this is very important thing after a long journey, because you have the experience to tell youngsters, okay, you need to do this. So how this is going to enhance this profession?
I think it is important for knowledge to be passed down. While everybody has the tool of learning knowledge at the, in their hands, at the switch of a button, but passing down that knowledge, what we have learned to the youngsters, is very important. That should be a continuing process. So while some do it through academia by becoming teachers, like yourself as professors, and you pass it down, but we as practitioners who are not doing it are doing it subtly through mentoring, either in our studios or through the young brigade that joins the offices, or by getting attached to certain associations or NGOs, or giving our time where we know we can do something for the profession as a give back. Also, it is very satisfying personally, and that is what I enjoy doing. And it's not just generally giving back, and during the give back process it's also a learning. It still continues both ways. So when you think you're giving back, you're also learning, and that is very satisfying. So after so many decades of practice, I think gratitude, immense gratitude for with everybody around. So it's a gratifying experience when you're giving back.
So, because you told you guide, you mentor so many students, I saw that also personally. While curating a competition, because you did for so many competitions, what is your first thought process? What you would love to see in that particular project while judging the project?
See, that is different across different segments. You're judging different segments of projects, different categories. And I'll be honest, whether it's curating or whether it is reviewing and judging, it's always a team effort.
Yeah.
It's never really an individual who's doing it. It's always a teamwork that builds up to it. So you have to just make sure that inherently, what is the idea? You have to, at your point, think of what is the idea of the person who has created that. Only then can you review and judge. So I would actually put it as more of review rather than judge. Who am I to judge anybody? I'm here to review and guide and mentor somebody. So you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes and kind of see where the idea came from, why that person has done this. Because I often think that if there is one building, one project, and if 10 architects were to do it, they would all do it differently, because everybody has thinking mind, which is different, which works differently. But in time, if that particular project has been done and we all look up to it and we say it's very good, great. So that architect did a good job. So there it is that when we are also reviewing any competition or anything, you really have to get into the shoes of that person, into the mind of that person, to think, ye kyun kiya usne? And then kind of analyze if the basic principles and the basic values are in place. So only that is how you can review it.
Okay. So I would like to an honest opinion for the next question, because in practice you see many architects are doing work, right?
Yes.
And you see that one project is coming with a very good idea, very good inspiration and also impact on the society, and you saw, oh, this architect did also good work. So do you एक्चुअली थिंक कि ये मैं भी अच्छा कर सकती थी अगर मुझे मिला होता, या कभी ऐसा लगता है कि काश ये प्रोजेक्ट मुझे मिला होता तो आई कुड डू बेटर? कभी ऐसा हुआ है?
No.
Honest review.
Honestly, never. Never. Whoever has done whatever project, they have done it well. Glad that they got it.
Mhm.
We many a times participate in competitions, global competitions also, where we don't win.
Mhm.
You know, we have missed it slightly. But doesn't matter, you know, that was the best person who won it. Probably that person had a better idea. But we've never had, you know, that, oh, if I had got this building, I would have done it this way or anything. Nothing at all, never. We are happy doing our projects and doing them well. That is
Okay,
it.
now this is the time for rapid fire. Okay, are you
wow.
ready?
Oh, yes. Okay.
So sketchbook or computer first?
Sketchbook definitely first, then into the computers.
Okay. Modern architecture or traditional architecture?
Depends on the project, but definitely taking roots from the traditional but doing modern.
Okay, and one material you love design with?
I grew up in Chandigarh. Brick is my all-time favorite, though now I'm also delving a lot in stone.
Okay. A building in the world you wish you had designed?
None of that. My best is always my each project is my best.
Okay. And morning design sessions or late night creativity?
Morning design sessions with my studio team,
Uh-huh.
but late night creativity on a personal front.
Okay. Hand sketching or AI tools?
First hand sketch, then into the AI.
One city that inspires you architecture thinking?
I grew up in Chandigarh by default,
knew
but
the
I
answer.
also love the dynamism, pace, and diversity of New York. It really inspires me.
Perfect. Minimalism or expressive architecture?
One can express through minimalism as well.
Oh. Your favorite space of design, to design the home, public building, or urban space?
For me, each project has to have a placemaking. So by default, it does tend to become an urban design.
Okay. One word that defines architecture to you?
My very being,
Oh.
my passion.
Thank you. So on that note, I would like to say thanks to ma'am, because we had a really great interaction with each other, and I asked the questions what I got from the students and the young generation. I'm so happy that you got the answers. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.
Thank you very much, Avitesh, for having me. Thank you.
Welcome.